Now I quote now example of how we create our heaven and how we create our hell, as told by Hadhrat Masih IV. Hadhrat Masih IV pointed out that it is the attributes of God and the love of God which in fact would create heaven for the soul. God is the source of everything beautiful. God is the source of everything pleasant and pleasing and loving. But we can only acquire this taste with worship, with sincerity, with constant prayer to Allah, and with imitation of God's attributes. If we become Rahman here on earth, if we try to become Rabb here on earth, like mothers do to their children, if they do it to others as well, then they will be like real Rabb. Then they can be like Rahman. And if you begin to do it entirely for the sake of Allah, not for your own personal aggrandizement or show, then you begin to draw a pleasure out of being kind to others. You don't draw pleasure by receiving anything. You feel very bad inside, if somebody shows favor to you. But when you show favor to others, then you have a divine pleasure out of that. And that is what sustains the prophets here on earth. Despite the enmities, hostilities from all others, their response is that of kindness and love and consideration for them. So all this, when they do, it generates pleasure, which is spiritual pleasure. So once we train our souls to receive pleasures of this nature, out of love of God, we begin to love humanity. Out of love of God, we try to imitate Him here on earth. Still, this pleasure is a bit remote pleasure because we are still at a very long distance from God. And these godly things have not acquired any form for us. But if with this we come closer to the beauty of God, what a heaven it would become. But for that we must be trained here on earth. If you do not love God and God comes closer to you, that will be a punishment. It will not be a heaven for you. This Hadhrat Masih Maud has pointed out in a different form. He says, imagine a thirsty man who is dying of thirst and who is also hungry and has lost his energy and is about to be dehydrated, and you offer him a beautiful bunch of sweet and fragrant grapes which are cooled. Now, these cool bunch of these cool grapes, when you offer them to such a man, they would provide him like a heaven. They would feel like heaven. Because he would be dying of hunger, shortage of energy, and particularly when you are hungry, you like sweet things and cool things. His thirst will be quenched with the watery element in the grapes. His desire for sugar and energy will be fulfilled, will be met with by the sugar in the grapes, and then the coolness itself will quench the fire of your thirst and uneasiness. See, this will be a heaven for the person. But if somebody again is very dry, he has always been dehydrated by vomiting and diarrhea, and feels so nauseated that even the thought of food makes him vomit. Now he needs this as much as the other person, and you offer him a cool bunch of grapes and see, he will slap on your face. Remove it. Even the smell will hurt him. the sight of water and food and drinks would hurt him. So he said, this thing is the same. The grapes are the same cooled and chilled fruit of the highest quality, but it has different effects. It creates heaven for one and hell for the other. So Hazrat Masih Maud said, it is your spiritual health which will create heaven for you when you come closer to God. His attributes will provide your rizq. And that is the spiritual rizq which will keep you alive and which will give you an everlasting pleasure. It will take different forms. Now, because tastes differ here on earth, because the capacity to enjoy differs, so you cannot say, if you eat the same food, you cannot say that we are enjoying same as much. Some people have a better taste, some have an inferior taste, some things please one and some things please another person, and their intensity is also different. So those who are more pious, their heaven, even if they are there among us, would be a very elevated experience. Those who are less pious, their heaven with the same atmosphere will be a different thing altogether. I've seen people sitting on the same table, eating food. Some are enjoying it, some are not enjoying it. So the intensity of the fire would also be different from sinner to sinner. It would be their aversion to goodness, their hatred of goodness, their addiction to evil, which they will find there as a punishing force, because whatever they want, they won't have it. You see, if somebody does not like to hear recitation of the Quran, he doesn't like the Quran, and he wants film songs and music and pop songs and things, and day and night he hears the Quran being recited from radio, what would happen to that poor man? And the one who is a godly person who loves the Quran, and he opens the television and there is filth. Opens the television and there is pop song, and people making mad, movements in the scene. Every time he'll shut up the television or he'll go mad with that. So it is not the things which differ. It's what you are and what you have trained yourself for, your acquired tastes. So Hadhrat Masih Maud, with reference to many verses of the Quran and many traditions, proved the point that the hell will be spiritual, the heaven will be spiritual. Here on earth we make our own hell and own heaven. That is why the blame does not go to God. They themselves hurt themselves, they themselves are cruel to themselves. These are the repeated assertions of the Quran. We have told them, look here, if you do bad things, you are going to create this. So once it is done, then you are in for your own punishment. You understand?